Good morning, everybody. Just to introduce myself, my name is Mike Mullane. I've been at Central States for the last 40 years, and I'm hoping within the next year or two to be sitting out there uh, and eventually drawing a check. On behalf of our Board of Trustees, first of all, I just want to congratulate all of you on your upcoming retirement. Just to give you a brief history, this is the 70th year of the Central States Pension Fund. It was actually founded back in 1955 by the original Jimmy Hoffa. You can see his signature on the trust agreement there. And we began paying pensions back in 1957. With that being said, we've paid out over $89 billion to Teamster members and surviving spouses since 1957. The oldest retiree in the pension fund today is 109 years old. I'd like to introduce you to Major Jewel McDonald, 109 years old. He retired from Kroger back in 1980. 45 years on pension. And when you kind of put that in perspective, he's drawn over $364,000 in benefits, 543 pension checks, and his birthday is in November. He will be 110. Now, with that being said, we call him before the first of the month before we send him a check, just to make sure he's still around. Central States is doing extremely well since the Affordable Care Act, since the special financial assistance. We're actually overfunded now at 101%, meaning any benefit that you're going to receive from Central States will be a lifetime benefit with no concerns about being reduced or being cut or outliving your pension benefit. If you last to 109 years old, we will still be sending you checks. With that being said, there's two different application processes for those in Central States, those who are in UPS versus the non-UPS. So first, I'm just going to start with UPS because it's really easy from a Central States perspective. And if you are part-time or full-time and you have a piece of that pension from Central States that you'll end up getting at age 65, UPS will notify us when you retire. That's also important for those part-timers who are going to get their retiree coverage from Teamcare. UPS will notify us of your retirement date and that you're drawing your pension, and that will trigger your retiree coverage from Central States Teamcare. So again, the Wilson McShane was talking to the full-timers at UPS when it came to healthcare coverage. I'm speaking when we come to the Teamcare part to the part-timers who are in Teamcare. For those non-UPS members in the Central States Pension Fund, there is a application process that you do have to go through. The best thing that I can encourage you is to go to mycentralstatespension.org. And I've circled two things on our homepage. One is an estimate of your pension. So for those in the Central States Pension Fund, if you go and log in to your account, and it's very easy to register, you can get an estimate of your pension, whether you retire today, a year from now, 2 years from now, and it will give you that amount. It will also give you that amount with and without, if you're married, the joint survivor option that we'll talk about in a second. The second piece is the benefit application itself. You can actually download the application or begin filling it out on your laptop or smart device, and then download that information right to Central States Pension. With that being said, it's a pretty simple process. All we're asking for generally is your demographic information, where you live, your spouse information, the employers that you work for, and then we'll get into some of the forms that you'll actually need to sign in addition to the application. But for non-UPS retirees, we ask you to complete this application 3 to 6 months in advance. Now, if you're married, you're going to need to elect whether you take the joint and survivor benefit. And UPS will speak to this as well, but anyone that is married has to make an election as how to cover that spouse in the event of the retiree's death. You have 2 choices with Central States. One is to complete the election form and take either a 75% option or a 50% option, and I'll touch on that in the next slides. Or you can waive it. And again, we get questions all the time, what should I do? Every couple is different. If you have life insurance, maybe that is going to play into your decision on whether you take the joint survivor option. If somebody is sick, maybe that plays into the joint survivor option. Age may play into it. If you're 60 and your spouse is 22, maybe there's some benefits to that, but the joint survivor option might not be one of them. So if you do elect it and the retiree does pass away, the benefit is restored to the amount. So if there is no spouse and the spouse predeceases the retiree, the benefit does get restored. So the forms are pretty simple. I either elect to take the joint survivor benefit, and if so, whether it's the 75% benefit or the 50% benefit, or I waive it completely. Now, if you're with UPS, whatever election, again, for our UPS guys, that will ultimately get a pension from Central States when they turn 65, whatever election you did with UPS will transfer over to Central States as well. So if you elect to take a joint survivor option with UPS, when you turn 65, that will transfer over to Central States as well. For those in the Central States Fund, it's pretty simple. You take your benefit amount times a reduction factor, and that will determine what the monthly pension is. So in this case, just a quick kind of math on how this all works. Say the participant's age 65 and the spouse is age 63. You kind of go over, you find the reduction factor, so it's 0.8272 for a 75% benefit. So when we do the math on this, this is just assuming somebody's got a $1,000 pension. The reduction factor is 0.8272, meaning the pension benefit the retiree is going to receive, $827.20. And then the retiree passes away. So then at that point, we'll pay the spouse under the 75% option, 75% of that benefit, and they'll end up drawing $620.40. The other option is the 50% option. The factors are different because under the 50% option, the retiree is going to draw a little bit more money, but then the spouse is going to draw only half of that. And as I mentioned, if the spouse predeceases the member, the benefit then reverts back up to $1,000. So again, that's just kind of a quick overview. Now, those factors are going to differ, so UPS factors may be different than Central States by a few points. We're not talking, each fund uses different actuarial factors. So where it says 0.8272, it may be 0.8296 with UPS or 81 something. So I just point out that those factors may be different. The factors I'm using there are for somebody who's getting their whole pension directly from Central States. So if you do elect to take the joint survivor option with UPS, they'll apply their factors in that reduction. For those in Central States that are non-UPS, when you do go to retire, there is a retirement declaration form that needs to be completed by the employer. Really, it just tells us when your last day worked is and if you're receiving compensation after that retirement date. Again, for non-UPS people in the members in our fund, if you have, say, 14 weeks of vacation when you go to retire, and you elect to take that for the next 14 weeks, we really can't start your pension until that's gone. Those 14 weeks are up. You take those 14 weeks in a lump sum as you retire, then we'll pay your pension as of that retirement date. So again, that's for the non-UPS. So this retirement declaration form is very important. We can't start your pension, again, non-UPS, without that form. Documents that you'll need is pretty simple: your birth certificate, spouse's certificate, marriage certificate, and divorce decree. If you are divorced and you do have what's called a qualified domestic relation order, we would need a copy of that, so we would know, and we may already have a copy of that you have sent in already. But if you do have that, that just means your previous wife or your ex-wife is going to draw some part of your retiree benefit, your ex-spouse. So just to recap, complete the application. UPS members go through UPS, non-UPS go through Central States. Close those legal documents. If married, you're going to need to make that option. Name a retirement date, and then live to 109 and keep drawing lots of checks. So let's switch over to the healthcare side of things, and I'll first talk to the UPS part-timers. So your retiree healthcare will come from Teamcare, and our age limit for part-timers is age 55. And similar to Wilson McShane, you will draw that. You will be on our retiree plan until age 65 or Medicare. If your spouse is younger, we will continue as a younger spouse until they're 65 or Medicare as well, under the same plan. So under our plan, COBRA doesn't come into play for the younger spouse. We will continue the younger spouse until 65 or Medicare. In addition, we'll cover dependent children to age 19, or if a student, to age 25. We get notified of your retirement by UPS, and that's when we'll start the retiree plan when we get notified. Similar to Wilson McShane, if you retire in the middle of the month, we will provide you coverage without a monthly copay for those last 2 weeks until the first of the next month. The part-time cost for the retiree plan is $200 a month for one person, $400 a month for a family. And this is guaranteed for the length of the current UPS contract. So for the part-timers in our plan, that rate hasn't changed over the last 2 contracts. This is the 3rd contract where it's remaining the same, $200, $400. And that's partially because of the contributions paid for you while you're active in the fund. For non-UPS, it works kind of the exact same way, except one major difference, where part-timers can begin getting retiree coverage at age 55. Non-UPS retirees, it's age 57. The second difference is the retiree plan is provided to age 65 or Medicare. If you do have a younger spouse, they can stay on the plan for 3 years until age 65 or Medicare, whichever occurs first. So going back to that scenario of the 63-year-old with a 22-year-old spouse, in 2 years, that retiree will be 65. That spouse will only be 24. We would cover for 3 additional years the younger spouse, at which point they would come off of the Teamcare plan. The non-UPS retirees, the cost is different. It is based on your age at retirement. The younger you retire, the more expensive the plan is. The older you retire, the cheaper the plan is. So if you retire anywhere from 62, 63, or 64, it's only $100 per person for non-UPS retirees. So UPS part-timers, it's $200, $400. For non-UPS, it's this rate. And if you have two people, it's double that rate. So let's just talk a little bit about the retiree medical benefits, because they are different from the part-time active plan that you have with Teamcare. A couple of things. Under our retiree plan, there is a $350,000 per person annual maximum. Since it is a retiree plan, it doesn't fall under the Affordable Care Act. Our trustees just increased that maximum last year to $350,000 per person. There is a $100 deductible, $1,000 out of pocket. I'm not going to go through everything else, but our plan does have dental and vision actually included in that part-time cost. So that part-time cost of $200, $400 includes your medical, prescription, and dental and vision, as you see there. The vision is the same as your active plan. The dental is $1,500 per person per year. If you go to retire, again, I'm talking to the part-timers here, and say your spouse has other coverage at the time you retire, and you're going to stay under your spouse's plan, you can postpone your benefit, whether this is UPS or non-UPS, it works the exact same way. At retirement, you can elect a one-time postponement of your retiree health plan benefits. So if you do elect it, you must have other insurance and provide documentation when that insurance is ending. So somebody who can get other coverage at the point they retire can elect to postpone their benefits and then reinstate them when those healthcare benefits are done. The cost is similar to Wilson McShane. The cost is your age when you actually retire. But we do allow you to postpone benefits. Similar to what you've already heard, when you turn 65, your mailbox is going to be full with different Medicare. Teamcare has a partnership with Humana. It's called a Teamcare Gold. You'll end up getting one of our flyers in the mail. And again, it's one of these, and you're fortunate to have a Medicare expert come up in a few presentations. You'll get a mailing from us, just like you'll probably get a mailing from Teamsters, which is the IBT's plan. If you're in Wilson McShane, you'll get a mailing from them, plus AARP and every other Medicare provider. So I do have a copy of this brochure. Again, it is not Teamcare. It is not affiliated with Teamcare. It goes through Humana. We just market it as Teamcare Gold, but it is a Medicare Advantage plan through Humana. With that being said, if you're looking for any information, that QR code there is right to our website, and you can register for those in Central States Pension, non-UPS. Go to mycentralstatespension.org. For those in Teamcare, you probably already know our number, 1-800-TEAMCARE. That's me and my number at the bottom. And with me today is Cindy McGinnis, and we'll be around to answer any individual questions that you have. But with that being said, does anybody have any general questions from the part-time? The question was, does 200, 400 apply to full-timers that may be in Teamcare and not in the Wilson McShane plan? We have a number of full-timers throughout the country, and the answer is yes, it's $200, $400, and it's for the length of the contract. The question was, where it says 20 years of credit, can you be in your 20th year? And the answer to that is no. It needs to be at least 20 years of actual credit. So 19 and a half, you're in your 20th year, but you don't have 20 years of credit. So the question was whether you need, if I work 20 years, I may have some of those that I don't get 750 hours in, right? Do I get credit for that? And it's a full year, so anything over 750 hours gets you a full year of part-time credit, and that'll get you a full year towards your 20. The question is there an option for somebody who misses some time in a year to make self-payments to get a year of credit? I think that's a question for the UPS pension plan. I know for the non-UPS pension plan, we don't offer self-payments anymore on the pension side.
Decades ago you did.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that's still.
Yeah, so I think I would defer to my UPS colleagues to answer that one. Yeah, as non-UPS, the answer is no. You cannot self-pay to increase your pension contributions in a year. So the question is, if I can restate it, you're 66. You've got 18 and a half years at UPS. So this retiree coverage I'm talking about is only for 65 and under, right? So you're already 66. So the Teamcare coverage we're talking about won't even apply because you're over 65. So that's when Medicare kicks in. And there's a Medicare expert coming up after me that'll probably be able to address that a lot more than I can. The question is, would he need both if he's 66, doesn't have a lot of healthcare issues? I think the question you're getting to is whether you need a Medicare supplement or Advantage plan to go on top of Medicare. But no, Teamcare won't even apply to you. It's applying to you now because you're actively working, but once you retire, Teamcare is done. And just your Medicare benefit is the only thing that's payable, or that you'll get your coverage. So the question is, what is the mandatory age for retirement? There's a mandatory age that you have to begin electing your pension. And that's set under federal law, that April 1st, following the year you turn 70 and a half, that we have to start paying your pension benefit. Now, you can keep working. We're not telling you you have to stop working. The federal government is just saying, we need to begin paying you at 70 and a half. And the reason for that is they want us to tax you before you die on your pension. So they're not doing it because they're trying to force you out. They're saying April 1st of the year you get 70 and a half, we have to start paying. The question is, again, going back to the 20 years, it is a combination of your total pension credit with UPS. So it has to be 20 years. You get a full year of credit at 750 hours, a half year of credit at 375 hours. So you need to add those up to get a full 20 years. You could be at UPS for 20 years, only working 375 hours. In our eyes, that's 10 years, because it's only a half year of credit for each of those years. And the question was, are there reemployment restrictions when you draw your Central States pension? Non-UPS, so this doesn't apply to anybody from UPS. But generally, if you're working in the Teamster industry, the pension fund doesn't allow you to draw your Teamster pension and work for a competing employer, whether it's in the Teamster industry or even outside the Teamster industry. There are some exceptions, and those exceptions are if you work in a government employment, city, village, county, state, federal. There is an exception where you can draw your Central States pension. If you're age 65 or older and you've collected your pension for a year, you can work anywhere without a restriction. And going back to our gentleman's question about the required distribution, if you're age 70 and a half, again, you can work anywhere, and that includes with a contributing employer. because again, by law, we have to begin paying you. But there are some restrictions, again, for non-UPS retirees out of central states. Enjoy the rest of your seminar. Thank you all very much.